Okay, here's a very good question from one of the listeners, and it can be a little controversial. Should we give to street people? If you live in the Philippines, this is actually very, very common. The question really has more to do with God's command in the Bible for us to be generous, while at the same time knowing there are certain factors that affect these conditions. Okay, so let me answer that by first telling you 3 personal stories that I personally know of, and then I'll give you a short insight on this whole situation. The first story brings me back to college. I was playing Counter-Strike. I used to be a crazy video game addict before. So I used to play Counter-Strike, and I was playing at this place near our college. It was about maybe 3:30 a.m. or something like that. And at 3:30 in the morning, I finished playing. I was sitting down at the steps, and a van arrived. And when the van opened, all the street people came out of the van. And I heard so many stories from college before that there are syndicates that actually get these people, and it's kind of like their job. So they have places to stay, but they are intentionally treated in a very bad way. So they look bad, they look poor, they look, desperate, so that people would have pity on them when they beg. And so that's when it got confirmed to me that syndicates do exist. Disclaimer though, I'm not saying every single street person is under a syndicate. I'm just saying they do exist. It still happens. The other memory connected to that, this is still part of the first memory, is that I know this for a fact. I don't want to say how I know this, but I'm just saying that I know this. Some syndicates even do human trafficking and kidnap boys and girls ages 2 years old or below, and then do surgery on them, remove maybe an eye or an arm or a few fingers or whatever, just to make them look really, really desperate so that people give. I know that sounds horrible, that sounds terrible, and I really believe that if these people don't repent, then there's a very special place in hell for them. But yeah, this is something that is real in the Philippines. Okay, the second story I want to tell you guys brings me further back to high school. I did some really stupid things in high school, and because of those stupid things, I was supposed to do community service with my entire class. We were in, I don't want to say the name because I don't want to put shame or throw shade. For all I know, they may have improved today because this was years ago, obviously. But during high school, I did community service for an entire summer for a home for the aged somewhere in our city. And I'll never forget my experience there, because for an entire summer, my job every day was to make sure that the senior citizens who were left there had something good to eat. And their food almost every day, in the morning, it's almost always the same thing. It's dried fish, some rice, and some vegetables, malunggay. Lunch and dinner was usually either pancit or rice, malunggay again, and then the bud fish. And I know this because my job was like to remove the small bones of the fish. And so I was wondering, where did the money go? Where's all the money? I did more research. I asked some people in the know about the money, and these agencies, government agencies, were supposed to receive a good amount of money to feed the people, and yet, nope, the money did not reach them. So I know that syndicates exist, and I also know that governments can be corrupt. Government officials, government agencies, government departments can be so corrupt, and money that we donate to them don't really go to the people who need it. My third story goes into, or not goes into, but we went into those garbage dumps where people throw the garbage, and there's like a small hill or many hills of garbage. And I visited there. We did a kind of community service there as well before. And I was so shocked to see that there was a small school for the kids. The adults were very happy. They were making crafts, and they were actually selling stuff. And there were lessons on how to do crafts. It was just a very nice community. So I was expecting a very, very unhealthy and dirty place, but it was actually quite clean for where they lived, with the adults learning from lessons, so many different lessons on how to do certain crafts which they could sell. The kids had school, they were learning, they had nice little school bags and everything. And when I asked about what was happening here, I found out it was a privately owned organization. Again, I'm not going to say which organizations these are, because that's really up to you to do your own due diligence to find out where you want to give or how you want to give. But I was so impressed by this, and I ended up supporting them, giving them a monthly, funds, right, from my own charity fund. I have a small monthly charity fund for me and my wife, and we give regularly as well. So what am I saying? I'm saying, I guess what I'm trying to say is this: I don't like giving to street people, because I'll never forget what happened when I was there at the garbage dump. I asked the person how they were doing things, and the lady gave this talk. And at the end of the talk, she said, please do not give to street people, not street kids, not street adults or seniors or teenagers, to nobody at all. And she said, don't give money, don't give food, don't give even crackers, don't give snacks, or nothing at all. Why? Because when we give to them, we are encouraging two things. We are encouraging either syndicates to become more successful, or we are encouraging them to not go to school and to just keep on begging and to not get an education. And so they're thinking long term. They said to me, or to us, these kids don't like going to school when they're young because people give money to them all the time. But when they grow older, they're not going to look as cute. They're not going to look as desperate. They're going to look more able-bodied to get work. And so the sympathy towards them decreases a lot, and they get stuck. They don't have education, they don't have skills, but begging is not for them anymore. So what do? They join gangs, they get into drugs, they become, pickpockets and snatchers and all of that stuff. So they do really bad things. But while they're still young, it's better for them to be forced back into school, into their homes, into these privately owned agencies run by private organizations and private citizens, not government. Okay, so that's really it. Usually kids who look very, very desperate, or street people who look very desperate, usually, not all, but usually, they are in the syndicates. And if they are, not in the syndicates, they're actually well fed. But they beg as a career. So that's what I would say. This is my personal conviction. You can have your own conviction, but my personal conviction is this: do your due diligence, find out which organizations actually are good for them, and then donate to those organizations. And I would not give to people who just are in the streets, because I want to force them to go into these organizations where they can learn and grow, and they can really become more skilled and educated and equipped for life. I hope this really helped. I hope this shed some light and some insights. And again, you can disagree with me. This is just my opinion. God bless you guys.